Hey, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. Welcome to Essential Issues Weekly, where I talk about DC Comics recently released on the Ultra tier of the DC Universe Infinite subscription service, 1 month after their original publishing date. In each installment, I pick an assortment of comics to talk about as a DC fan and also explore what, if anything, they have to say about the essential issues of real life. Now, warning, full spoilers for everything I talk about, so be aware this is your first and only warning that many spoilers lie ahead. Right now, we're going to take a look at comics originally published on March 7th, 2023, and from that group I've chosen just three. Still not ready to talk about the Batman series. That will be one that I will be talking about as part of Essential Issues, but I'm still catching up. I think a month from now I should be caught up and ready to start including that in my Essential Issues series. But anyway, first up is Adventures of Superman, John Kent, #1. Ultraman is basically killing and hunting Kal-Els across the multiverse. And he's also the one who captured and imprisoned and tortured John Kent for years, which, along with, some comic booky time stuff, explains John's aging up. Because, of course, when he was introduced, they for a while they had him as a, I would say elementary age boy, maybe probably somewhere between fourth and fifth grade, third to fifth grade, something like that. And John was imprisoned. He was tortured by Ultraman, and that for years. And that has had ridiculously, in my opinion, little impact on his personality. And so the fact that they are referencing that here is a sign that hopefully they can correct that. Or even better, I would love for this series to end with him being de-aged somehow. I can even cook up some reason for, why they could do that, how that could happen. But yeah, I really, really want them to address this issue because I think it's such a great opportunity to define his character. What makes him different from just being another guy named Superman who really wants to do the right thing, and he's got a good moral compass or sense of decency and how to treat other people, that kind of thing. So much of his personality traits, understandably, are like his dad's because he was raised by his dad and also, his mom. Although we don't see as much of like that tenacious reporter type stuff, those kinds of personality. It would be interesting to see someone that actually had a lot of Lois Lane's really tenacious bulldog kind of personality traits with the powers of Superman, but they're not really going that route. So far, the impression I get is he's just kind of a lot like Clark. Now, of course, one element of his story that they're continuing is the fact that John, once he was aged up, came out as bisexual and is in a gay relationship. That continues here. The issue opens reestablishing that relationship, but so far it's a brief note and not really emphasized. And I think that's good. I don't think that, even if it was a heterosexual relationship or whatever the case might be, I don't think that characters should be defined by their relationship status. What I think I need for Adventures of Superman John Kent to really hook me is strong and clear personality traits of John's that differentiate him from his dad. He can't just be another guy named Superman who is simply a good guy trying to do the right thing. We've got that already. And his differentiating factor also can't be his bisexual relationship, no matter what, as I said, kind of a relationship someone is engaged in. If that's the defining characteristic of that person, I'm not interested. And I also think it's unhealthy to kind of suggest that like a defining characteristics of somebody is the type of person they're attracted to or the type of relationship that they're in. So what could be done instead? And do I think they might be heading in a direction that I would like? Well, I think a great direction they could head into, even apart from anything else that we've seen so far in this issue, is what is it like to try to be a hero in the shadow of your dad, Superman? To, be a good guy that was raised by a good guy, so he's got, this sense of decency in terms of how he treats other people. But what is it like to grow up in the shadow of your dad, Superman? That would be something cool. That would lean into kind of legacy a bit, and I like when DC leans into that, as they do so often with Justice Society of America and the Flash family of characters. And so I think that would be kind of something cool that they could do with John Kent to give him an interesting story to tell. But of course, what I think is more likely to be dealt with, but hopefully not just dealt with too quickly and then swept under the rug and forgotten about. We've already had too much of that. But having this trauma that he has been through and how he's working through that, how that has shaped his character. I think what they tried to do was to suggest that because he's Superman's son, because he had such a strong grounding up to the point, at which he was captured and imprisoned, that has enabled him to come out of that experience and largely be okay. But that just does not ring true to me. I understand that when we're dealing with comic books, we just accept all kinds of things. There's a whole lot of PTSD that should be going on in comic book characters that isn't. But when this one is so front and center as a major event in his life, the fact that he is not constantly still dealing with this and that it doesn't constantly have an effect on his outlook, that has either shaped his outlook or that he has to fight against it shaping. The fact that those are not in play in stories featuring John Kent just seems like a hugely missed opportunity, almost as much as the missed opportunity of keeping him as a child, which I still wish they would have done. Anyway, it looks like they're going to use the Lazarus Planet event to modify John's powers. The cover of this issue even suggests a costume change may be inspired by Superman's blue/electric phase. This would be fine, I guess. I think that's at least one thing to differentiate him from his dad, but doing something interesting with his character and his personality is much more important to me than differentiating him with his power set. Anyway, that's all I have to say right now about Adventures of Superman John Kent. I am interested enough in the potential for where this series could go that I plan on following it for at least another issue or two. So we'll see what happens there. The only other comic from March 7th that I really want to comment on is The Flash number 794. I was confused in retrospect by the cover for this one after reading the issue because it teases a new costume for Irie, Wally West's daughter, that she never gets in this issue. And I like the new costume, at least the limited profile view that we see of it. The one that she's running around in lately is basically like an impulse costume. And so I'm ready for her to get a new look and I suppose a code name, which she does acquire that. She comes up with it for herself, but I'll get to that in a second in this issue. A lot of this issue does still focus on her, though. She really kind of comes into her own using her super speed and her brother's Speed Force toughened body to wail on bad guys. So it definitely has kind of a comedic flavor at times because her brother, who can channel the Speed Force but for strength instead of speed, is basically frozen in time. And she is throwing him around like a wrecking ball, assuming that he will be tough enough to handle it. I didn't know that his channeling of the Speed Force gave him invulnerability. I thought it just gave him super strength. So this felt a little bit new to me. I'm not sure. Anyway, yes, but it's definitely a little bit weird and kind of funny. And all of this, action-y, superhero-y stuff that Irie's doing is juxtaposed with discovering that her father has died and dealing with that. And it doesn't feel as heavy as it should, and so as a result, same as with the quote-unquote death of Iris a couple issues back, I just feel like these aren't things that are going to stick. The death of Wally that we saw toward the end of last issue just felt abrupt and not really given the weight and the big splash page that you would expect, and so I just haven't been buying into these deaths as something that's actually going to stick. And Barry actually has this aha moment in this issue where he realizes that, hey, we can actually prevent all this mess from the invading superspeed aliens from ever happening to begin with. And, because they didn't lean into the deaths and give them really the weight that you would expect if they were really going to, be a new change to the status quo, then I just kind of felt like when Barry had this aha moment, I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, yes. I felt like, okay, yeah, finally, you got around to it. I also didn't really feel the moment that Irie decides that her code name will be Thunderheart. I understand it was built up to in the last issue with that kind of heart-to-heart moment that she had with Jesse Quick, but the moment here still felt forced to me. I mean, that said, code names or superhero names, these are conventions, just a hokey convention, if you step back and think about it for a moment, of the superhero genre that on some level we have to learn to accept. And most times it goes in when you're, of course they've got some kind of superhero name, whatever, But when they draw attention to it like this and have her new code name or superhero name established in this kind of moment in the middle of all the action, it feels like an interruption, an intrusion on what's going on, and very unnatural to the moment. Having said that, though, Jay Garrick gets a couple of really cool kind of grizzled old tough guy moments while he's captured and tortured. My favorite being when he spits a knocked loose tooth at super speed to take out his captor, which I thought was really cool. And the issue ends with him poised for a one versus many Die Hard scenario behind enemy lines that I'm guessing I'm really going to enjoy reading next issue. This issue didn't knock it out of the park for me like the series has typically been doing lately, but I'm still very sold on this book and on the writer and the creative direction of this series right now. So really enjoying The Flash, even if Flash 794 wasn't quite hitting the mark that the last few issues of the series have been for me. All right, I think those are all of my thoughts for now on comic books. I would love to get your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe. Remember to check out christiangeekcentral.com for tons more content. And thanks so much for watching.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
Download the Legacy Edition of Spirit Blade, a full cast audio drama, for free at spiritblade.com.